The Project Workbench. So you're saying this is a good thing? It sounds like you're saying it's a bad thing for geeks, but it's a good thing for the material that's being generated, or is it none of those?
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think there's crappy material that's being generated, but there's also really good material that's being generated, both in television and film. I think it's significantly better than it was before, and there's way more ideas because there's way more people involved in it because it's generating more money.
Right.
And that's the underlying
Turns out that's what matters.
I think it's bad for the people who really actually care about it, and I think it's the people who don't really care about it and who never really cared. I mean, there's people I know who are popular in school, and then because they happen to like a Harry Potter movie, now they're nerds.
But
they're not nerds.
Hold on. You say it's bad for those people.
Yeah.
If not for the fact that this type of genre stuff has gone mainstream, there would be no Harry Potter movies. There would be no Avengers movies. Like by going mainstream, we are gifted with these experiences that we would never have had.
Culturally versus socially. So you're talking culturally, it's good for us. I agree. But socially, for the people who are actually nerds and really into this stuff, it's not good for them because the people who are not, they're only into it because it's popular. They're the ones, like you said, you can't get invited to a D&D group because there's cooler people who are going to D&D
But hold on,
group.
now you are now the bully. Like, so you're telling me, or you're telling our viewer, you're saying, oh, well, if you're only liking it because now you like, well, you, then you're not allowed to be in this fandom. You're not old school. You're a newcomer. So now they have to. So what you're telling me is, in order for people to enjoy your fandom, they have to fit your definition of what's okay. That sounds like you're being a bully.
I'll take a bite this far. I will say that it doesn't have to fit my definition. And if you want to call me a bully, I'll take it because it's defending people who are already been bullied out of what they believe in. And I think that the people who are really into it, it's different for them than it is for the people who pretend to be into it. And I think there's a lot of people who pretend to be into it who aren't because it's cool, and the people who are really into it are still looked down upon as nerds. So while we're in like a golden age of nerdy stuff, the people who had to actually, from a social standpoint, deal with all of the negative repercussions of that are now not getting the benefits of having done that. And the people who didn't, pay your dues, are now being able to reap the benefits. So it just bothers me.
What benefits? What are the benefits of having been... By the way, totally agree. That was an excellent way to articulate a very complex point. But what are the benefits? Like, aren't they getting the Avengers movies? Aren't they getting Jessica Jones on Netflix just like everyone else?
No, and of course...
Like, do you mean, by benefit, do you mean like now they aren't heralded as the cool kid? Because they knew all along that Thor was a good comic book.
Right. No, kind of. So they don't reap the social benefits of having liked it for so long. And that just bothers me from this internal sense of justice that I have.
Sure.
That someone who loved Thor growing up and was a nerd is like, Thor. And it was like, Thor's lame, it's stupid. It is. But then the movie Thor's a bad example, but the movies are the movies are okay.
Movies,
they're okay. So then it comes out and it's popular, and now you were always into Marvel and the Avengers, and now everyone's into them, and you're like, well, I was into them first. I mean, we're talking about this, and I feel dumb because this is the same argument that people have about bands, and like a band sells out when it goes mainstream.
Sure.
And I always think those people are so dumb. They're like, oh, you love the band because when they did Garage. Are they supposed to stay in a garage their whole career?
Yes.
So I understand we're having that. I just feel bad for people who struggled socially with the stigma of being a nerd because they like something. Then when that something becomes popular, the popularity of the thing goes, and the popularity of the person attached to the thing stays where it is.
I actually think you should throw someone under the bus when they deserve it. And I think for a large part, what's happening in this dynamic you're describing is people are finding excuses, reasons for why they're not being catapulted to coolness. And I think at the end of the day, what you're going to find is it matters not what you like or what you do. Let me rephrase that. It matters not what you like or the things you're passionate about. It's the person that you are. Like you could take two people, one of them's cool, one of them's a dork, and switch their interests entirely. It's not the things that interest them that make them cool. I would cite myself as an example. I consider myself a hardcore nerd and geek.
You do build R2 units at Batmobiles.
Yeah, like I think if you were to like sort of point a finger at the traits and characteristics which make up the archetype of the nerd and the dork, I think I have all of them in droves, like 18 double odd measured, right? But at the same time, like I feel like now, because of the way geek culture has matured, like I now have as a girlfriend the most attractive woman I've ever seen in my life. Like that was not a thing for me in high school. Like I wasn't going to land the hot Disney princess in high school. I'm still the same person. No, I guess my point is that I think a lot of it has to do with the person. It's not the way culture has changed. It's that person has some trait about them, to them, that maybe doesn't translate into the idealized self they want to actualize. Like they're like, I want to be popular because I love Thor. Bring it on, world. Doesn't work that way. Like, to be popular, what do you need? You need to be gregarious. You need to be happy. You need to be helpful. You need to be social. You need to go out and meet people. You need to be good in social situations. I'm obviously narrowing it down to things that a traditional geek might not have, but like, is it the culture or is it the person? What are your thoughts on this?
I think that's really true. I mean, there's a thing that makes people nerds, you know, and there's an it that there are people who are just likable and that people just like and they're popular, and they may not be, you know, they could be good people or they could be bad people.
That's true.
Know? And there's just a weird element, and it's unpredictable. You can't put it in a bottle. And I think that you're probably right in that it is the person and not the thing. I just think that there are, then that always exists, and then we can't say that because that nerd culture is super popular, without letting the nerds come with it.
Yeah.
Because being nerdy is only popular in so much as it goes to a certain point. You know, like no one will say that dressing up like a stormtrooper is cool unless you're in Comic-Con, right? But in the culture, in the geek culture, people like that. People love cosplay. It's fun. But that it's cool there, but it won't translate like at your job.
Well, see, I think that also is very much a matter of perspective. Like when I see people wearing like a football jersey at the supermarket, I'm like, dude, you don't even play for the team. What are you doing wearing?
Well, they're not wearing a football helmet and pads and cleats.
That's
so,
true.
a stormtrooper shirt is acceptable.
Well, right, but
same idea.
I
though.
rarely see stormtroopers at Ralph's. But I think it's just like there's a definite double standard. Like it's like, oh, it's nerd stuff. Keep that at the convention. But I'm wearing my Kobe jersey out to the clubs, yo.
Right.
Because I'm basketball cosplay.
Right. That's an interesting analogy.
Like why is one not only socially acceptable but encouraged but also appreciated? Like, oh man, Lakers, I love the Lakers. Let's go to the club and do cool kid stuff.
Well, I will say there's probably an element of that at conventions, whether you like the Jedi or the
That's true.
Empire.
That's very true.
So there is that. But I think that culturally, not to make this meta, but we've always appreciated and respected people who could do physical feats of strength, power, whatever. So we've always put, whether they were gladiators or whether we've always put those people on a pedestal, and I think that continues today with athletes. We just always have. I can't explain it. It's why some people, like a lot of people, don't consider me. I know a lot of nerdy stuff, and I love to learn, but I'm also pretty decent athlete. I work out, I play basketball. So when people see me do that stuff, they immediately don't think that I know about superheroes. And so there's that divide going the other way. I just understand it. I just think that there are certain things that define someone as being cool and not cool. And for some reason, athletics has always been
physical prowess.
That's
an excellent point.
Yeah.
So not a topic for this discussion, but something that's very curious is like, why would you buy a car from like Shaq? Like if Shaq endorses a car, why would you care?
I have no idea. I don't understand celebrity endorsements for certain things.
To me, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like if you were real good at making cars, and you told me,
like Elon Musk, let's say.
Right. Like if you're like, hey, I make and design cars for a living. and I took a good look at the Ford Focus, and I think it's a very well engineered car. I think it's great value for the money. You get good mileage, and it's quite comfortable. I'd be like, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. But like when you see like Kobe Bryant, it's like, I wear this watch.
Then it's not so much about its functionality as how cool it is. Like how in style, how popular
I guess that's what they're selling.
Yeah, they're selling their
selling
hipness.
the I like it, I'm cool. If you had one of these watches, you'd be cool too.